Good evening. This is Ankush here from Alif Consulting. Welcome back in our partner enablement video series. So, in our today's video, we're going to talk about Azure Dev Test Labs. Now, here is our agenda for today's video. So, we're going to talk about what exactly the Dev Test Lab is, what are the benefit, what is the use case, and then we're going to walk through with one of the reference architecture through which you can basically understand how exactly dev test lab integrate with the customer environment, and how eventually customer can take the advantage, or how you can sell it to the customer, or basically how exactly it's benefit for the customer, so that whenever a customer is purchasing from you this service or purchasing you from the subscription, how you can eventually help them to build their test environment, right? So let's quickly jump into introduction. So Azure DevTest Lab is a service for easily creating, using, and managing the infrastructure, virtual machine, and the platform as an environment in the labs. Lab offer a pre-configured base or artifacts for creating a virtual machine, resource groups, template for creating the environment like a web app and SharePoint farm, right? So think about it, like when you create a normally a VMs in Azure portal. Okay, so what you need to do, you need to create a VM from operating system. You need to install the application on that, or you eventually can use the predefined of application configuration directly from the marketplace as well. But there is a difference which is going to be is about the pricing. So the pricing in between Azure DevTest Lab and the actual VM is a very important factor. Now you might be thinking about how exactly this is going to be helpful from the customer. Okay, so here is the thing, like, okay, so when there is an enterprise customer who have an enterprise agreement with the Microsoft, they do have a capability to run a dev test subscription, where they will be going to get that specific subscription with the dev test offer. And in that specific subscription, what is going to be happen, like the discount will be automatically predefined, because that plan is only for the dev test, right? But let's say there is a CSP customer, right? And the CSP partner or CSP does not have a dev test offering, which is eventually available in the enterprise agreement, where a dev test lab come in place, and customer can take this advantage of these services to build their test environment, build their labs, and when the testing is completed, they can delete the environment. Now think about it. Let's say running the actual VMs with the test environment is going to be cost you uh, the same amount, right? For the customer, it's going to be cost as the same amount as a public pricing. But as a CSP partner, what you can told them, like, we do have a DevOps services. So not a DevOps, sorry, DevTest labs. Microsoft do have a DevTest lab, which you can take the advantage on the discounted price, and with this one you can solve your problem of the running the dev test environment, right? So that's how it's advantage, or it can help our CSP customers to basically run the environment and enhance the cost for their dev test labs. A lab owner can configure a pre-configured VMs and have a tool and software lab users need it. Lab user can claim the pre-configured VM or create the pre-configured their own VMs with the environment. Lab policies and other methods that track and control lab users of the cost. So these are the basic introduction, but the major is you can use this to save your cost, and you can run your dev test environment specifically for running the application for a testing perspective. Benefit: quickly provision development and test environment, minimize the waste and quota and the policies, set automation shutdown to minimize the cost, build Linux and Windows environment, reduce the overhead for application team, centralize enforcement of a organizational policy across the dev test workloads. Here are the use cases. Common dev test lab scenario include the deployment of VM test environment, classroom for training lab. That's what I told you in my first slide. The second one is DevTest Lab. Labs promote efficiently, consistently, and cost control by keeping all the resources uses within a lab context. Third, a fully integrated operation control panel for a dev test workload for start. A clear separation of of basically concurring between platform and the application workload. So these are the use case. Yep, this is how your overall architecture looks like in the enterprise segment. So you will be seeing DevOps on the top, and then you do have a management group through which there is a segregation is happening, and the policy is basically getting applied. And then at the right side on the bottom, you will see there is the dev test subscription where all the dev test policies, custom images, and the services has been running there. So that's where you can have that integrated with your actual landing zones and can take the advantage of the running the dev test environment in the Azure. Here are the key components. First, the enterprise scale landing zone. We're going to talk about in our upcoming videos. So enterprise landing zone is kind of you can say a connecting method where that will be allow you to connect your all the subscriptions or all the service to your on-premise by a single point of contact. Azure Dev Test Lab, again it's a fully managed services. We're going the other component is DTL policies where you can basically control your cost and they minimize the wastage in the lab. The fourth one is a formula. So it's a formula is a dev test lab in the list of default property values used to create the virtual machines. And then you do a hub and spoke, eventually a same again a landing zone where you will be having your spokes to be like running your workloads, and hub is going to be have all of the rest of things like a firewall, virtual network gateway, which will be going to allow you to control the network and connect it with the on-premise. Azure Bastion will be used to uh, you know uh, to basically access the other servers, since it's a fully managed PaaS services, and it's allow you to connect all the virtual machines within a virtual network or within a connected virtual networks over the HTTPS. And then we do have a DTL artifacts basically, which let you specify the action that are performed when a VM is provisioned. Right, so these are the basically key components which is there, but yep, if you really want to know about Azure Bastion, if you really want to know about like how enterprise landing zone is there, we do have a videos we'll going to link up in the description of this video. You can go ahead and check it out for those services. Right, now what are the security and compliance is going to be? Security based and apply guide. So the security based and apply guidance from the Azure Security Benchmark version 2.0 to the DTL. Okay, so following governance policy can be done there. Address the governance policy and management for resources in DTL. Provide the guidance on the governance policy and compliance for the DTS. Providing the information that's help you to assign the ownership across your DTL environment. Discuss governance related to the application migration integration for the DTL. Enterprise agreement for the dev test, that's what I have discussed. I have told you whenever we are talking about the dev test lab introduction. So enterprise agreement customer have a great way of running their environment using the test work on the Azure by sign up for a lower rate on the dev test workload as described by our enterprise dev test, enabling the dev test subscription within the Azure enterprise portal. Lets organization run a client operating system that are not typically available for enterprise subscription. Use the enterprise software in the which they are only paying for compute and full confidence about the licensing. Right, so how exactly it's create a difference, right? So let's think about you have or your customer have already have the enterprise agreement, right? And they want to take the advantage of having the dev test lab. Now they do have enterprise agreement, but again they are also signing a CSP with you, right? They are basically okay to have a CSP subscription for some other workloads because they don't have enough funds available into the enterprise agreement which they already have. So let's say there is a multiple workload is going to be, there is a production is going to be, there is a stage environment is going to be, there is the UAT environment is going to be. So having the production in the CSP subscription is a good idea, right? Where it's going to be run on a 24 into 7, and it's going to be run like like there is no testing is going to be happen, actual environment is going to be run, and running on it a CSP subscription would be a good idea. But at the same time, if they want to run a UAT and stage in the CSP, which is not going to be accessed by 24 into 7, which can lead them to into the having the extra cost for environment, because that environment will be not going to be available there, not going to be usable for 24 into 7, and that's just for the development team to do the testing of their applications, right? That's where if your customer already have enterprise agreement, they can take the advantage of DevTest subscription, in which they can run the UAT and the stage environment for the application. Cost. Yep. So DevTest services itself is free. However, costs are attributed to the other resources that are created in the lab, such as a storage, key, VM. Pricing or details are provided in the page, and there is a cost estimate. Azure cost calculator is also there, which you can use, right? So, like you do have a multiple factor in the DevTest lab for the costing. So service is free, but a part of that, whatever the resources you are running there, you will be going to cost about that. Well, in this demo, we are going to talk about how you can create a dev test lab and how you can deploy resources within it. Let's quickly jump to the Azure subscription. So I already on the Azure subscription. So creating a dev test lab is pretty much simple. You need to search for dev test lab here. You need to come on this tab. You just need to click on create. You just need to define your subscription, your resource group, your lab name, and your location. It's going to be a public environment or the private environment. You need to define your auto shutdown policies. You need to define your network, what kind of network you want to use. You need to define your tags and click on review and create. That's it. So it will going to validate your basic configuration which you have defined it, and you just need to click on create. As soon as your dev test environment is created, this is how it's going to be look like. When you click, so this is how it's going to be. You will be seeing one environment created there. As soon as you click on it, you will be inside the dev test lab, and you will be able to see all of the environments and the VM which you have created here. So as of now, if you see, there is a no virtual machines has been there, right? So what you can do, first of all, you can create your environment. Let's say I want to add a multiple environment here. So you can click on your environment, and you can select the environment, what kind of environment you want to create. So let's say you want to create the SharePoint subscription. You want to create a web app with the say MySQL, web app with the PostgreSQL, or web app with the SQL database. So these are the basically predefined templates which you can use to deploy your lab. So let's take an example. I want to deploy a web app with the MySQL. You just need to click on it, and you need to define a few settings which is required to create this workload. So you need to define the environment name, DB login, and the password. So let's take an example, web app apps lab. Define the login. It's going to be admin, and what is the value going to be? I am defining the password and click on add. That's it. It's going to create the environment. It's going to take a few minutes to here to deploy the environment. As soon as you do that, you would be able to see all the environments has been running here. At the same time, you do have options to deploy the virtual machines, like so here you can go ahead and deploy your virtual machines as well. You need to select what kind of base operating system is going to be, what are the solution you need to use, and that's it. Based on the solution which you have defined, it will automatically going to deploy all the virtual machines or all the required virtual machine for the specific solution which you have picked up. So you do have a plenty of uh, of of the base operating system, like you want to SharePoint environment, you want to run the Dynamics, you want to run the CentOS, you want to run the Oracle. So you will see you do have a bunch of uh, bunch of base lines of operating systems and the application which you can select and you can run on it. Okay, so let's take an example. I want to run a Windows machine, right? So let's Let's search for a Windows machine from the top. It's going to take a little time actually to search it. Most probably it's going to be search. No, it's not searching it actually. So let's do one thing. Let's select the free BSD. Okay, let's search for the Windows, right? It's not okay. So here is the Windows machine. So we do have a client machine to run. So let's select the Windows 10, and you need to specify a few of the things like the username, the password, and then you need to specify the size required here. uh, like anything any size which is supported here. So this s- size is not supported with the VM configurations or the VM image which we are using it, so we have to select for that size. And then what we can do, like once the select size is selected, we can go ahead and put the rest of the things here, like the artifacts and the operating system type, and that's it. And you, in the advanced setting, you need to define what is the network is going to be, what is the public address is going to be, what is the expiration of this going to be, and once that is expired, it will automatically going to be going to be expired. The lab is going to be expired, and then you do have option to make this machine claimable so that anyone can come and claim the machine and how many number of instances you're going to be deploying this lab. So that's how you deploy your virtual machine. And then you do have the data disk, my secret or personal data kind of things which you can do inside this in the inside the lab environment. You can use the personal data. If you want to export anything in here, you can do the export as well. So once your environment is being deployed, once the deployment is completed, you will be seeing this is still in created, but you can go ahead and click on it, and you will be able to see there is a there is the web app with the SQL has been being deployed. So you just need to click on wait to get this completed, and once you click on this one, you would be able to see all of your lab environment. The resource group is already deployed, and you will be able to see all of the basic required component which is there in the solution is basically deployed here by the solution. So you'll see this is how the solution will deploy. Now that's where that's how you can deploy a solution, and that's where you can help your customer to deploy the solution, sell the solution to the customer, so that customer can know or customer know about this thing. Like there is a dev test lab which can help them to run their test environment with the minimize by minimizing the cost, or by on the lower cost, not paying on actual amount which they are going to be when they are running a service on the actual Azure subscription, right? And then you do have option to configure the policies and stuff, right? You do have a policies which you can configure inside the dev test lab. Well, that's it in the demo. I hope you like this video. If you like, please click on like and subscribe for more upcoming videos. Thank you.